Hello and welcome to the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by Final One Standing is new from William Hill, 18 plus at gambleaware.org. I'm Sam Ellard and joining me to look ahead to all of the Premier League games this weekend is Lee Phelps. Lee, happy Thursday morning. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Looking forward to a great weekend. We're on Sunday for talkSPORT Goals, and to me it looks like one of those pivotal days in the Premier League calendar.
I like that. Also, good jacket, Lee, by the way. I can't believe it's taking you all the way into November to get the William Hill jacket on.
It's cold in this garage. Like when it starts to get into November, I'm in my garage basically, so it starts to get a little bit chilly. So I'll bring out the William Hill merch. I might try and do a different one each week for the preview show.
I love that. Good stuff, Lee. Good stuff. Final one standing from the original 500k jackpot. Have we not had much change from this time last week? Because I think most of the sort of popular teams won last weekend, didn't they, Lee?
Yeah, I think it was 89.5% of players got through after last week. But less than 1% left in that.
Wow.
£500,000 jackpot. 49 players left in the talkSPORT League, which has got a £5,000 jackpot, by the way. The most popular picks going into this weekend that we're about to preview: West Ham have got almost 50% of players' picks as we record this. Forest 17%, Chelsea 10%, Palace 5%, and Villa 3% there or thereabouts. It may change before the deadline at the weekend, but that's how it looks at the moment. So yeah, West Ham and Forest, nearly 70% of picks going on those two.
Yeah, playing Burnley and Leeds respectively, so it makes sense. Good luck to everyone still involved. We love Final One standing. Lee, let's now go game by game. Premier League weekend, you will try and pick out some prices that might entice our viewers. Spurs Man United, Saturday 12:30. Different week for Spurs. Really poor, weren't they, in the league against Chelsea? Bounced back really well midweek in the Champions League, beating Copenhagen comfortably. United's 3-game winning streak in the league came to an end last weekend, drawing to Nottingham Forest. United are winless in their last 7 meetings with Spurs in all competitions, but no side has lost more home Premier League matches in 2025 than Tottenham. That's 9. I like goals, Lee, and I think I like a draw here.
Yeah, fair enough. The draw is 5-2. Tottenham 9-5. Man United are priced up at 13-10. I know what you just said about Tottenham, but are Manchester United really good enough to be favourites at Spurs? Now, I thought they looked okay last week, but they had a restful week while Tottenham were showing off at home to Copenhagen. So that's in Man United's favour. Tottenham beat them in all the head-to-heads last season. Goals have been a bit of an issue for Spurs, haven't they? Obviously, Mickey van der Ven, the top scorer for them, obviously scored that stunning goal in Europe in the week. But you know, when a defender is your highest scorer, it's a red flag, isn't it? But they haven't scored that many fewer than Man United. So while I agree with you, I think both teams to score is a play. I'm not sure if I can pick a result other than the draw. If you're looking at a bet builder, I'd be looking at. I wouldn't mind Van der Ven to have a shot on target. Doesn't even have to score then. I think Brian Mbeumo has probably been Man United's best player over recent weeks. I mean, Bruno continues to do what he does, and maybe he suffers from the fact that he's been carrying this team on his back for so long now that he's still doing a good job. But Brian Mbeumo just seems to have a bit more vigour and a bit more, just up front, he seems to be one carrying the attack. 4 goals in 10 games. So I'd probably put him in for a shot on target as well. But I also like Spurs to have the most cards. They've had 21 in the Premier League versus United's 11. That's 10 yellows and a red for United. So almost double the amount of cards for Spurs than Manchester United. So if I'm looking at a bet builder, I'd probably leave the result alone. I'm not quite sure. I don't really trust Man United at 7-5 or 13-10. But if you're a Tottenham fan and you're getting nearly 2-1 for your team to win at home against Man United, I could be tempted.
Yeah, and Lee, just a bit more of a broad question. Apart from Arsenal, who are flying, and possibly a couple of teams at the bottom, Wolves and sort of West Ham up until last week, I'm guessing for you guys, pricing up markets, it must be so hard this season because it feels as if pretty much all of the Premier League, bar a couple, are so inconsistent. It feels like it's the most inconsistent Premier League we've had in a long, long time.
Yeah, no, you're right. Literally apart from Arsenal, really, and maybe if Liverpool and Man City get going again. But as we always say, whatever's happening at Manchester United, they attract money. So you can price a market up on what you think might happen, but then you've got to take notice of the weight of money coming in. So, and if you put Man United too big a price, then it'll attract a lot of money. And then it gives you, as a betting company, obviously, it gives you a huge liability. So you've got to manage that. That's the game, isn't it? How much money is going to come in on Man United? Man United could well go off shorter than this come match day.
Sure.
So, and that's where the value might come in. If Tottenham just creep up a little bit more and they go, They're just under 2-1 at the moment. If they go over 2-1, which I don't think they will do, but if they did, or they touch 2-1, Tottenham 2-1 at home, I would be tempted by that.
Yeah, possibly. I'm going to sit on the fence and go both teams to score on a draw
enough.
on that one. Saturday, 3 o'clock, Everton, Fulham, 1 place and 1 point separate the two sides in the table, 14th and 15th. But it's so tight and it's so fun. Everton are 6 points off third, all the way down in 14th. Fulham have lost just one of their last 7 Premier League games against Everton. Everton lost 3-0 in their last home Premier League match against Spurs, their first defeat at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. A bit like Spurs Man United, I feel like I'm edging towards sitting on the fence here. Yeah, I think I must be the most boring tipster of all time. I just pick draw in every game.
if you get a draw racker up, a treble or something, then it's always a decent price. But
I can retire from talkSPORT Goals hosting duty.
we don't price up which match is last on match of the day, but this would be close, wouldn't it? Everton Fulham, 23-20 Everton, 9-4 the draw, and Fulham are 23-10. I go home win. Grealish heavily involved. I mean, he would be well clear in the assist betting. Obviously, there's a table of most assists in a season these days. If Everton strikers could score, how often have we sat next to each other in the goals studio at talkSPORT and just kind of either made noises when Beto or Barry have missed a chance, or just kind of like sunk back in the chair? Look, he keeps laying it on a plate for them, and they don't put the ball away. I thought Fulham found their level last week against Wolves. I think this is a step up for them. Not only are Everton a decent side, but I think the home advantage. So I think the odds against, I think it's fair for Everton. I want to.
You like Everton here, Lee, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I think if they're odds on, I'd be a bit like, but they're not. They're odds against, and they're a better side than Fulham, and they're at home. I would like to check the team news though ahead of the game on Ellard and Lee. I mean, he came off injured, didn't he? He's obviously been one of the real pluses for them this season. If Alex Iwobi plays for Fulham, it might be worth a look at scorer or shot on target. Former Everton, scored against them last season in this game. He's 4-1 anytime, so it's a decent price. But yeah, I think I'd just go Everton home win here.
I know David Moyes is a big fan of talkSPORT. I'm sure he watches the talkSPORT Goals preview show. Moisey, just stick Michael Keane up front as a number 9 instead of Beto and Barry. Then when these great balls from Grealish come in with his right foot cutting inside, more chance of Michael Keane heading home, I think, than Beto or Barry. There we go. Everton, Fulham, Saturday, 3 o'clock. So too is West Ham, Burnley. West Ham getting a much-needed first victory under Nuno Espirito Santo last weekend, beating Newcastle. West Ham unbeaten in their last 6 Premier League games against Burnley. And yeah, Burnley winning just 2 of their last 11 top-flight away games against West Ham. I like the home victory here, Lee, and you mentioned at the top of the show, lots of people like it for their final one standing pick. West Ham to win at home.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the Fulham were a big pick last week, weren't they?
Yeah.
So were Brighton, of course, and it reminds me of that kind of game. Now,
exactly.
Nuno got the win they needed, and this is teed up for back-to-back victories, but they have to go and do it, don't they? And like, I think Burnley are one of those sides that we seem to get most seasons where the neutral's a bit like, plucky Burnley, but they don't. They will win games. We've seen that they can win games, but I just wonder away from home if Nuno's got West Ham going again, even money for a home team against a team who probably will go down. You can argue that's a decent enough price, and obviously it's not many people have got big teams left in final one standing, so that's why 50% of players are going for them. Callum Wilson scored 6 in his last 4 against Burnley, 5-1 to score first, 2-1 anytime. I'm going to go home win, but I think it'll be a tight game.
Saturday, 5:30 is Sunderland, Arsenal. Arsenal are top in the Premier League, sits clear as City. They're 4 from 4 in the Champions League, only conceded 3 goals all season. I think they might just concede 3 goals all season come May. But Sunderland, though, 4th in the Premier League, what a return to the top flight. Probably the best story we've seen so far this season. Sunderland's 18 points, the most the new promoted side has won 10 games into a Premier League season. Since who, Lee Phelps? Quiz question for you.
Oh, I wasn't listening. I was looking at a price. Ask me again.
That's unbelievable.
Sorry. I was looking at a price then, make sure it was right.
Forget about it. Since Hull City in 08-09 under Phil Brown. I don't listen to your answers anyway, so don't worry about it.
Right. Sat on the halfway line.
Yes. Good stuff, Lee. So I wasn't listening, mate. Sunderland winless in their last 15 Premier League games against Arsenal. And Arsenal have faced just 19 shots on target in the Premier League this season, including 1 across their last 4. I mean, these numbers, Lee, from Arsenal defensively, they're just borderline frightening, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Sunderland, the 7-1, the draw 17-5. Arsenal 2-5. Arsenal win to 0, 11-10. Probably move on. I mean, like you just said, it's like, how do you make an argument for anyone? And the last goal they conceded in the Premier League, actually, the last goal they conceded was in the Northeast when Nick Voltemada opened the scoring for Newcastle. Obviously, Arsenal still won 2-1. I wonder how Sunderland play this. Do they go after Arsenal, Sam, with the crowd roaring them on? Or do they sit in, try to frustrate the Gunners, knowing all too well that they'll eventually score and then shut the game down? I mean, I don't know what if you were in charge of Sunderland, what would you do?
I think Sunderland fourth in the Premier League, good home form at home, stadium like bouncing. I think if you sit off against a team like Arsenal, the quality they've got, they're going to pick you off and score. Be aggressive. Get at them. Give the home fans something to get behind. You're the 4th in the table, Sunderland. They've got absolutely nothing to lose.
Yeah, you might end up losing 4-1. You might bring Arsenal out and then they have to attack and then they show how good they are at attacking. But you might not. You might get a 0-0. You might get a you could get a even a 2-1 defeat is not the end of the world, is it? Arsenal to win and both teams to score. If you agree with Sam, and I agree with that tactic. If I was a football manager, I've never managed a football match in my life though, so I must put that forward. I don't tend to listen to people enough. But Arsenal to win and both teams to score is 13-5. Yeah, I'm stuck between I'm stuck between those two bets. Arsenal to win at 2-0 and Arsenal and both teams to score. I need to see how Sunderland approach this. Maybe you wait till the game kicks off, see how it is, and then play it in play. But yeah, it's bordering on boring, isn't it? How good Arsenal are.
Yeah, I like that. Borderline boring. A bit like some of your answers, Lee, on the talkSPORT Goals preview show. I mean, where's Sam Norris when you need him? We've got another late game Saturday night. Chelsea-Wolves. Wolves bottom, still no win in the league this season. Pereira sacked after the defeat to Fulham last weekend. Wolves have picked up 2 points in 10 Premier League games this season. Be no surprise to learn that every single Premier League side with 2 or fewer points at this stage have then been relegated. And Wolves' record against Chelsea, not so pretty. They've won just 1 of their 11 Premier League games against Chelsea. Lee, before we do the game odds, next manager market, when I spoke to one of your colleagues in the week on talkSPORT 2, the 2 favourites were Rob Edwards and Erik ten Hag. Is that still the case?
It is, yeah. Even money for Rob Edwards, which would be a big move.
Who's more likely to be in the Premier League next season, Middlesbrough or Wolves? You'd have to say Middlesbrough, right? And therefore, why would he leave Middlesbrough to go to Wolves?
I don't know. I really don't know, because it's a poison chalice. Wolves is a poison chalice. There's no other way of describing it, because they've got 2 points. We said this on talkSPORT Goals at the weekend before. They need. If we say that 37 points is the barrier for safety, which is kind of generally regarded as I don't know how true that is anymore, but let's just say that they need 35 more points from 28 games. That's 8 wins, 11 draws and 8 losses. They're not going to do that. Whoever comes in, they can't win that many games. And obviously they'll probably be more likely to draw more and lose more than win. So that obviously makes it more difficult. It's crazy. I mean, even if you're Erik ten Hag, you're coming in and you're effectively going to have to perform one of the biggest turnarounds in Premier League history to keep them up. Robbie Keane 6-1, Brendan Rodgers 12-1. Brendan Rodgers hasn't left Celtic, where he wins trophies for fun, to come and take a team down into the Championship. I think it's a really tricky one. The interesting thing about these markets at the moment is we've got the Wolves one, we've got the Celtic one, and we've got the Southampton one. And a lot of the names are the same. It's just like, just change the odds a little bit.
For Southampton?
Yeah. So Russell Martin's favourite for Southampton at 2-1, which Gary. Actually, literally as we're talking, Gary O'Neill's just gone 3-1 second favourite in that market. It just changed as we were looking there. So, and incidentally for Celtic, Martin O'Neill's now 15-8 favourite. Despite telling Jim White earlier in the week that his heart couldn't take it, we do wonder if Martin was being a little bit Martin with that. But yeah, he's favourite to get that permanent job now. But yeah, what a job this is. And as for the game, Chelsea 4-11, justified short price favourites. The draw 19-5, Wolves 7-1. another home win. I mean, like, there'll be an epic boost on this game, and there'll be
Yeah.
an epic boost on the Sunderland Arsenal one. But I'd look at the Chelsea epic boost on this when it's released, and probably look to play that. I think they
Yeah.
win it, and they win it well.
Yep, something João Pedro related, please, Lee, for the epic boost would be much
Yeah,
appreciated.
that landed last time, didn't it?
Yeah, that's the Saturday game done and dusted. This is the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by William Hill and Final One Standing 18 Plus GambleAware.org. This is the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by Final One Standing. It's new from William Hill, 18 plus, GambleAware.org. It's Ellard and Lee Phelps taking you through all of the Premier League action this weekend. 5 games done, 5 games to go. To Sunday, 2 o'clock, 4 Sunday 2 o'clock games, all before City Liverpool. We're eating good on Sunday afternoon, Lee, in the talkSPORT Goals preview show. Villa Bournemouth. Bournemouth lost 3-1 against City last time out, but haven't lost consecutive Premier League games since May. Meanwhile, Villa are unbeaten in their last 5 Premier League games against Bournemouth, although they did lose last time out to Liverpool in the league, ending a really good run of victories in the Premier League. Tough one to call this one again, Lee?
Yeah, I think the whole day is littered with games that are tough to call. You know, as you said earlier in the preview, it's just a tricky set of fixtures again. Villa 23-20, the draw 12-5, Bournemouth 9-4. I mean, that's why a lot of these home teams aren't odds on. They're just a touch of odds against. Because if Villa were a touch of odds on, then Bournemouth would be, you know, bigger than, you know, 9-4, so they'd be creeping up towards the 3-1 mark, and then, you know, then it looks like it's a bit too much value. I think they both came up against good sides last week. You know, Villa found a much more resolute Liverpool, and that form has been franked by their performance against Real Madrid. The Cherries had Haaland to deal with. That form's been franked by his performance in the Champions League as well. So no shame in the results that both these teams got. Obviously, Bournemouth will be more rested, but because Villa have got a European game, but Villa have won every game following Europe this season, including that 1-0 against City. So they shut Haaland down, which not many teams have done this season. I can see this being tighter than we'd maybe expect, because obviously you tend to look at Bournemouth and think goals. Maybe a 1-1 draw. A draw and both teams to score is 17-5. John McGinn signed a new contract until 2028. Villa legend, isn't he? And could he celebrate with his 4th goal of the season? That's just under 4-1.
Brentford v Newcastle, another Sunday 2 o'clock game. Newcastle really good away from the Premier League this season in the Carabao Cup quarter-finals, 3 wins and 4 in the Champions League. But in the league, 13th in the table, just 3 league wins this season. Newcastle 12 points after 10 Premier League games this season. Their fewest at this stage of a season under Eddie Howe. And Newcastle are winless in their last 8 Premier League matches away from home, which is really bad and really surprising. And how's this for a stat, Lee? Brentford v Newcastle has the highest goals per game average of any Premier League fixture to be played at least 8 times, just over 4 goals. There have been 33 goals in the 8 meetings between the two sides, with 4 of those seeing at least 6 goals scored. So hey, maybe goals to come on talkSPORT Goals.
Yeah, I love it. Brentford 19-10, the draw 23-10, Newcastle 13-10. Newcastle the favourites away from home, and you just gave that stat. You know, 3 points from a possible 15 away from St James's Park, and they've scored 2 goals away from home. I thought both teams were really disappointing last week. I got chatting to a Brentford fan on the tube on the way out of talkSPORT Goals. They were at Palace, weren't they? And he was pretty scathing about them, despite the fact that they've started well. He just said there was nothing about them really. So you wonder if they bounce back. Now they do generally bounce back under the manager. On their previous 4 losses, they've won 2 and drawn 2 of the following games against Villa twice. Once in the cup, of course, and Chelsea and Manchester United. So, you know, they're not like, you know, not weak teams. Villa probably weren't quite at their best then. Regular viewers to this preview and to talkSPORT Goals will know that one of my favourite ways to decipher a game, if both teams are represented by creatures from the animal kingdom,
Lee.
is the bees versus the magpies.
Get a life, mate.
Listen to this, right? The bee may get 1 stinging, but the magpie wins overall. Now, what I did on this one, I put it into ChatGPT just to ask, in a mythical fight between a bee and a magpie, what would happen? They said the magpie would win. But then they went on this mad thing about a mythical fight, and they started going on about this bee being as big as a football and all this sort of stuff. And so I'm not going to bring that to the table, but on that scale, the magpies win. But I think it's goals. And I think you want to have a bet builder on this one. I agree with you. I think Igor Thiago had a quiet game last week, but with 6 goals already, And with him to score, at least get a shot on target, I'd be looking at over 3.5 goals in the game as well. I think I'd go Brentford at 19-10. Given Newcastle's away record, and Brentford bouncing back, like I said, routinely, I'll go Brentford to win this at nearly 2-1.
Lee, you lost me at Bees v Magpies about a minute ago. Did that Brentford fan, by the way, did he come up to you on the tube and say, "Oh, that's Lee Phelps, William Hill's Lee Phelps from talkSPORT Goals"? Did you get recognised in the tube?
I put this on when I leave the studio so everyone recognises me.
Just hoping somebody comes up
No
to
one would
you.
recognise me. No one would recognise me. He had his scarf on. I got chatting. It's like sardines on a. It's like sardines on that tube to King's Cross on a Saturday evening.
I'm not one to blow our own trumpets, but hey, the talkSPORT Goals numbers, they're flying, mate. People might know who you are.
They recognise you, not me.
Wow, hey. 2 more games at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Palace, Brighton, Forest, Leeds. What are some standout prices? I'm guessing the only thing you care about here is something to do with Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring for Leeds, your favourite player in the Premier League.
I've not even included him this week because they can't seem to. They just can't seem to score goals. I just don't think, since beating Everton on the opening day at Ellen Road, they've only won against Wolves and West Ham, lost away 2-0 at Brighton, Burnley, Fulham and Arsenal, went out of the League Cup to a Sheffield Wednesday team who were in disarray at the time with fans protesting, no one in the ground at Hillsborough. If Dyche has got Palace back at it, the price 5-4, again, another odds against price for a team at home against a relegation threatened team. I know Forest are down there in the relegation area, but if Dyche has got them at it, and I know they'll be playing in midweek, but Forest at 5-4 is good. And Palace, they're the same price, 5-4. It's like, I think there's some interesting prices here. I think Palace, the draw's 12-5, Brighton 2-1. This has got to be the most boring name for a derby in football, the A23 or M23 derby, but it can be feisty. Palace won it 2-1 last season, and Nketiah and Matt Gay got sent off with Van Hecker seeing red for Brighton. Before that, in the previous 5 head-to-heads, have been 1-1. All of them have been 1-1. So I'm looking at both teams to score. I'm looking at over 4.5 cards. It's frequently been 6 or more in recent years. We know Mateta's in great form. 8 goals in all competitions, 6 in the league. Ismaila Sarr's scoring. Danny Welbeck's level with Mateta on 6 as well. This is a great... I think if we're going to do a bet builder on Sunday afternoon, this might be the one. Both teams to score. Mateta, Welbeck, cards. Sounds like a great game, that one.
Before Sunday, can you please chat GPT who would win in a fight, an eagle or a seagull?
Yes, I wasn't going to mention it, but I was going to bring it up on Sunday. That is my favourite one of all.
Good. Yeah, I bet it is.
You know who wins that game. You know who wins that fight, though.
Yes, I think I do.
Find
out on Sunday at 2 o'clock who wins that fight. And to the big one, what a tease that is. And to the big one, 4:30. This really does have a big game feel about it. I feel like Liverpool, Arsenal earlier on in the season maybe became a tiny bit too early for that. City second on 19, starting the weekend 6 behind Arsenal. Liverpool third on 18, starting the weekend 7 behind Arsenal. City lost both Premier League meetings with Liverpool last season. That's there was many defeats as they suffered in their previous 12 against them. Since the start of April, City won the most points in the Premier League while winning 13 of 19 games, and they've won 9 of their 10 at the Etihad in that time. Liverpool did put an end to losing 4 in the row in the league last weekend by beating Aston Villa. Come on then, Lee, put your money where your mouth is. How do you see this game going?
Yeah, well, Man City are odds on, touch of odds on, priced up at 19-20 as we record this. The draw 14-5 and Liverpool 12-5. We've talked all the way through this preview about teams being odds against when they've got what looks like inferior opposition against them. We've done it how many times? 5 times we've done it already. Why are Man City odds on against Liverpool? Liverpool are a better side than all those other teams, relatively speaking, to Man City. So this has to be value for Liverpool. If it was a week ago before the Villa game, yeah, fine. Look, they're both back on it after the various wobbles. I think a win is imperative here. This is the battle for second place. If they draw, that just opens that gap up. And we're taking it as granted that Arsenal win at Sunderland, obviously. But I think the teams have to go for a win here. I don't think a draw does either of them much good. They've dropped 22 points between them already. Now, the big danger, obviously, for Liverpool is Erling Haaland. He's got the worst record against any Premier League club against Liverpool. He's got 1 goal in his games against them. Without him, City struggle. He didn't score against Villa and they lost 1-0. He scored 13 of their 20 league goals this season. It's a big ask, but if they shut Haaland down, 12-5 looks a great price. Liverpool put in their best performance of the season against Real Madrid. I watched you and Ryan on talkSPORT Goals midweek, and the nervous tension was palpable. But they played really well with back-to-back wins. They're in confident mood. Szoboszlai been their best player this season, in my opinion. He scored one and set one up in this fixture last season. Salah scored and set goals up against the head-to-heads. His record against City is incredible, second only to his record against Man United. 13 goals, 8 assists in 23 games. At the prices, and I know it's a big if they shut Haaland down, Liverpool 12-5 is the bet of the season for me. Big if.
Mic drop. Bet of the season, Liverpool, Man City, says William Hills, Lee Phelps. Lee, thank you as always. I'm glad you're enjoying a relaxing week off.
Always a pleasure being with you.
Good man. I'll see you Sunday. Thank you very much for watching talkSPORT Goals Preview Show. Join us from 2 o'clock this Sunday on the talkSPORT YouTube channel and on your smart TVs. We'll keep you across all of the Premier League action. 4 games at 2 o'clock, then the big one, the blockbuster encounter, City-Liverpool. We'll see you on Sunday from 2.